When it comes to fishing, the type of line you choose can make all the difference. So which one should you choose? Well, we have a few to choose from. There's monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braid. Each have their own unique strengths and qualities designed for different conditions and situations, so let's get into it. First up, monofilament, or simply called mono, is the most common fishing line. It's very versatile as it can be used in just about any situation. It's primarily made from nylon that's melted down, extruded, and spun into different thicknesses. This process gives it a smooth, stretchy quality and is very cheap to produce. As such, mono is much more affordable than the other lines, making it a popular pick among beginner anglers. It's abrasion resistant, meaning it's not easily damaged when fishing around structure, making it a very solid choice when you're fishing around rocky or wooded areas of your favorite lakes and rivers. Furthermore, this line is buoyant as it will float on top of the water, making it ideal when you're fishing with topwater lures and bobber rigs. Also, the line's stretchy nature comes in handy when you're fighting the fish, as it has the ability to absorb shock produced during the fight. This increases the chances of you keeping the fish on the line, and it makes for good leaders, which I will get into more later in the video. However, mono does have a few downsides. Because it is so stretchy, it's more difficult to get great hook sets, and it's a lot harder to detect subtle bites. Next, mono's diameter is thicker than the other lines, which can limit how far you can cast. It also has a higher memory, meaning it can retain loops and coils if left on the reel for too long, and this can result in those dreaded bird's nests. And while mono is durable, it will decay faster if exposed to UV rays for extended periods of time. Overall, I think mono is a great affordable fishing line if you're getting into fishing or if you're fishing on a budget, and it will work in just about any situation. My preferred mono is Berkley Trilene Smooth Casting or Extra Tough with the bass combos, and one of my catfish combos has 40-pound Trilene Big Game Mono, so that's what I would recommend. Next up, we have Fluorocarbon, or fluoro for short. It looks very similar and shares some of the same qualities as mono, but performs much differently. This line is thinner than mono and nearly invisible in the water due to its light refracting properties, making it a perfect choice when you're fishing in clear water or you're targeting finicky fish or the fish have excellent vision like bass and trout. While it does have a bit of a stretch, fluoro isn't nearly as stretchy as mono, meaning the ability to detect bites and get solid hook sets is quite a bit better. And like mono, it makes excellent leaders, more on that later. Fluoro is denser than water, causing it to sink, which is ideal for deep water lures like crankbaits, jigs, and soft plastics. It's also abrasion resistant, holding up well against rocks and sunken timber, and isn't as sensitive to UV ray exposure, but like with anything in life, there are a few negatives. Fluoro is much more expensive than mono. It's not great when using topwater lures and rigs due to its sinking nature. Fluoro also has a memory that increases the chances of the reel bird nesting and can result in some knots slipping when under pressure. So not all knots will work with this line. If using fluoro, I will almost certainly tie and recommend tying Palomar knots. I can't recall a time where one has ever slipped on me. Overall, I love using fluoro in certain situations, specifically when I'm fishing down in the water column with sinking lures and rigs. It may be more expensive than mono, but the thinner diameter allows me to cast farther, and it's nearly invisible in the water. I definitely recommend the investment. My recommendation and go-to is the Berkley Vanish Fluorocarbon. It's good stuff. Enough of that, let's talk about our next contestant, braided line, or simply called braid. This line is made from woven fibers, making it incredibly strong line for smaller diameter, and the smaller diameter means you can load more line onto the reel and it will cast farther. Unlike mono or fluoro, braid is highly sensitive with zero stretch, so you can detect even the slightest nibble, and it enables you to get the best hook sets. Also, it doesn't retain line memory, decreasing the chances of you causing a bird's nest, and it's perfect for fishing in thick vegetation, such as pulling bass from weed beds and lily pads or targeting big game fish. On the other hand, braid is more expensive, is highly visible underwater, and is not abrasion resistant at all, so it's best used with a fluorocarbon or monofilament leader. When I'm fishing with braid, I'll have a mono or fluoro leader on there that's about 1 to 2 feet long. By doing this, I gain the abrasion resistant qualities of the fluoro and mono while retaining the zero stretch sensitivity of the braid. I'll usually tie them together with a double uni knot or a blood knot. It's a match made in heaven. Also, braid is prone to slipping on reels if not spooled properly, but there's an easy way to fix that. Some guys might wrap something like tape around the base of the spool to give the braid something to grip onto. I prefer putting a backing on my braided reels with cheap mono. Depending on the size of the reel, after I've loaded about about 100 feet onto it, I'll tie the braid to the mono with a double uni knot or a blood knot, and at that point I will begin loading the braid onto the reel. Not only will this prevent the braid from slipping, it'll also save me money in the long term, having loaded less braid on than I would have otherwise. Braid is by far my favorite type of fishing line. The majority of my reels are loaded with braid, and it's caught me a lot of fish, from bass to catfish to gar to carp and even sharks. My favorite type of braid is Power Pro. I started using this stuff several years ago with my catfish rigs and my heavier bass rigs, and I haven't looked back since. Now, I know I didn't cover fly line. I feel like fly line is its own entire category, but I felt it was only fair to cover the entire spectrum of conventional fishing line. And if you want to learn more fishing tips and tricks that you can use in your fishing adventures, I got a playlist right here you can check out that has a bunch of how-to tutorials on rigs, knots, all different types of stuff. Let me know what you guys thought of this video. What's your favorite type of fishing line? And I hope to see you guys in the next video. See you next time. Thanks for watching.